The impossible return. The bridge of the GSS horizon hummed with the usual sounds of deep space patrol. Commander Sarah Mitchell sat in her command chair, reviewing routine supply reports, while her crew monitored the empty sectors of space near the Kepler belt. It was supposed to be another quiet shift in what had been 3 months of quiet shifts. The frontier territories were always like this, vast stretches of nothing punctuated by occasional asteroid mining operations. Sarah had been with the Galactic Security Service for 15 years, ever since humanity joined the greater galactic community. She remembered the excitement of first contact, the wonder of meeting alien species, and the humbling realization that humans were newcomers in a cosmos already filled with ancient civilizations. The Galactic Council had welcomed humanity, but with strict conditions. Humans were classified as a Level 2 species, restricted in what technology they could develop and where they could explore. Lieutenant James Carter broke the silence from his station at Tactical. His voice carried an edge that made Sarah look up immediately. "Commander, I'm picking up something strange. There's a massive energy signature appearing at coordinates 7-3 Mark 8. Sarah set down her datapad and leaned forward. "What kind of signature?" Carter's fingers danced across his console, his expression growing more confused by the second. "I've never seen anything like it. It's not matching any known propulsion system in our database. Not human, not Zenthari, not even Krolix. The energy output is off the scale." The Zenthari were the oldest known species in the Council, their technology thousands of years ahead of humanity's. The Krolix were warrior merchants possessing weapons systems that made human military technology look primitive. If Carter said this signature didn't match either of them, that meant something truly unusual was happening. "Put it on screen," Sarah ordered, standing from her chair. The rest of her bridge crew turned their attention to the main view screen as the image resolved. Space itself seemed to be tearing open. A swirling vortex of energy, colored in shades of blue and silver that shouldn't exist together, pulsed and expanded. Sarah felt her heart rate increase. In all her years of service, she had never witnessed anything like this. Wormholes were theoretical, something the Council said was impossible with current technology. "Commander, something's coming through," Carter reported, his voice tight with tension. A ship emerged from the vortex. It was massive, easily twice the size of the horizon, and its design made Sarah's breath catch in her throat. The hull configuration was familiar, distinctly human architecture from the early colonial period, but it had been modified, transformed into something that defied logic. The surface of the ship rippled with energy patterns, and structures jutted from it that seemed to phase in and out of normal space. "Run identification scan," Sarah commanded. Though she already had a terrible suspicion forming in her mind, the computer processed the request for what felt like an eternity. When the results appeared on her tactical display, Sarah felt the blood drain from her face. "That's impossible." Carter read the identification aloud, his voice barely above a whisper. "UESS Wanderer, Colonial Transport Vessel. Departed Earth orbit March 7, 2186. Status: lost with all hands. Presumed destroyed." Dr. Elena Reeves, the ship's science officer, spoke up from her station. She was a brilliant astrophysicist who had joined the GSS specifically to study alien technology. "Commander, the Wanderer disappeared 83 years ago. According to records, it was carrying 12,000 colonists to the Epsilon Eridani system when it vanished without a trace." Sarah knew the story. Every human in the fleet knew the story. The Wanderer had been one of humanity's first major colony expeditions after joining the galactic community. Its disappearance had been a tragedy that haunted Earth for decades. Memorial services had been held. Families had mourned. The incident had led to strict new regulations about where human ships could travel. "Life signs?" Sarah asked, forcing her voice to remain steady. Dr. Reeves checked her readings, then checked them again. "Affirmative. I'm reading multiple human life signatures. Thousands of them. But, Commander, there's something wrong with the readings. The biological signatures are altered somehow. I can't explain it." Before Sarah could respond, her communications officer, Lieutenant Park Min-jun, interrupted. "Commander, we're receiving a transmission from the Wanderer. It's audio only, broadcasting on all frequencies." "Play it," Sarah said. Static filled the bridge for a moment. Then a voice emerged. It was human, but there was something different about it. The tone was calm, almost too calm, and underneath the words, Sarah could hear a strange harmonic quality, as if multiple voices were speaking in perfect unison. This is the U.S. Wanderer calling GSS Horizon. We request permission to establish communication. Humanity has returned, and we bring knowledge that will change everything. Sarah exchanged glances with her senior officers. Every instinct told her to be cautious. But these were humans on that ship. Her people. This is Commander Sarah Mitchell of the GSS Horizon. Wanderer, we acknowledge your transmission. Can you explain where you've been for the last 83 years? There was a pause before the response came. Commander Mitchell, for your timeline 83 years have passed. For us, only 4 years have elapsed. We entered a spatial anomaly that led us to a place beyond mapped space. We found something there. Something left behind by a civilization that existed before any current galactic species. We have returned to share what we learned. Dr. Reeves was already pulling up data on her screens. Commander, the energy signature from the Wanderer is unlike anything in Council databases. Whatever modifications they've made to that ship, they're using power generation methods that shouldn't be possible. The efficiency rating is beyond theoretical maximums. Sarah felt a cold dread settling in her stomach. The Galactic Council had very strict laws about technology acquisition, especially from unknown sources. There were stories, whispered in fleet corridors, about species who had discovered ancient technology and been destroyed by it or destroyed by the Council to prevent its spread. Wanderer, I need you to power down your systems and prepare to be boarded for inspection, Sarah said using her command voice. This is standard protocol for any vessel that has been missing for an extended period. The response was immediate. We understand your caution, Commander. However, we cannot comply with a full power down. Our systems are now integrated in ways that make complete shutdown impossible without harming the crew. We will lower our defensive fields and allow a boarding party. We have nothing to hide. Sarah turned to Carter. Assemble a security team. Full combat gear but weapons on non-lethal settings. Dr. Reeves, you're with them. I want a full scientific analysis of whatever they've done to that ship. As her crew prepared for the boarding mission, Sarah sent an encrypted message to Earth Command. This situation was far beyond her authority to handle alone. She also sent a notification to the Galactic Council's regional monitoring station. Council law required immediate reporting of any anomalous technology discoveries. 30 minutes later, Sarah watched through the bridge view screen as a shuttle carrying Carter, Dr. Reeves, and 8 security personnel approached the Wanderer. The alien ship, because that's what it had become, something alien despite its human origins, opened a docking port that seemed to materialize from nothing. Boarding team, report, Sarah said into her communicator. Carter's voice came back, professional but with an undercurrent of awe. We're inside, Commander. The interior is... I don't have words for this. The corridor walls are alive somehow. They're responding to our presence, lighting up as we move. Dr. Reeves is taking readings. Dr. Reeves's voice joined the transmission. Commander, the material composition of these walls is impossible. It's simultaneously solid matter and some form of energy field. The molecular structure keeps shifting. This technology is centuries beyond anything the Council possesses, maybe millennia. Sarah's tactical display showed a new alert. Commander, I'm detecting multiple ships dropping out of faster-than-light travel, Lieutenant Park reported. It's a Council enforcement fleet. 12 vessels, Xanthari command ship in the lead. They're taking up positions around both us and the Wanderer. This was bad. The Xanthari were the Council's primary enforcers, and they didn't take kindly to unauthorized technology. Sarah had heard stories about entire planets being quarantined when forbidden technology was discovered. Her communicator crackled to life with a new voice. It was deep and resonant with the mechanical undertone of universal translation software. This is High Enforcer Zarn of the Xanthari Directive. Human Vessel Horizon, you are ordered to withdraw immediately. The ship you have encountered is now under Council jurisdiction pending investigation. Sarah took a breath, weighing her options. She could comply and let the Council take over, which would mean potentially losing any chance for humanity to benefit from whatever the Wanderer had found. Or she could stand her ground and possibly start a conflict that Earth couldn't win. Before she could respond, Dr. Reeves's voice came through on a private channel, urgent and excited. "Commander, you need to hear this. We've made contact with the Wanderer's captain. His name is David Chen. He says they found a repository of knowledge left by something called the Architects. He says the technology they discovered doesn't just respond to commands, it responds to consciousness, to thought itself. And Commander, he wants to speak directly with you before the Council takes over. He says what happens in the next few minutes will determine humanity's future." Sarah looked at the Xanthari fleet surrounding her ship, 12 heavily armed vessels against her single patrol cruiser. But on the screen she could also see the Wanderer, pulsing with energy that made the Council ships look primitive by comparison. "Put me through to Captain Chen," Sarah said quietly, "and someone get me Earth Command on Priority Channel. I have a feeling we're about to make history one way or another." The view screen shifted and a man appeared. He looked to be in his 40s with calm eyes that seemed to see through her. Captain David Chen wore an old Earth Fleet uniform, but his presence was anything but old. There was something changed about him, something that made Sarah instinctively trust and fear him in equal measure. "Commander Mitchell," Chen said with a slight smile, "I know you have questions. I know the Council is demanding answers. But before any of that, I need you to understand something crucial. The Architects left their knowledge for whoever was ready to find it. They tested us, challenged us, pushed us to our limits, and we passed those tests. Now the Council wants to take that knowledge and lock it away, just like they've done dozens of times before with dozens of other species. The question is, will you help us prevent that? Or will you let humanity's greatest discovery be stolen before we even understand what we've found?" Sarah stared at him, feeling the weight of the decision pressing down on her. Through the view screen, she could see the Xanthari fleet positioning itself for what looked like an assault formation. Her crew waited for orders. Earth Command would be sending instructions within minutes, and somewhere on that impossible ship, humanity's future hung in the balance. "Tell me everything," Sarah said, "and make it fast. Because we're about to have a lot of very angry aliens demanding answers, and I'd like to know what I'm fighting for." Chen's smile widened. "Commander, what if I told you that everything the Council has taught humanity about the limits of technology, about what's possible and what's forbidden, has been a lie designed to keep us exactly where they want us? What if I told you that we're not newcomers to the galaxy? We're the inheritors of something far older and far more powerful than the Council ever wants us to know. Secrets beyond the void." The tension on the bridge of the GSS Horizon was thick enough to cut with a knife. Commander Sarah Mitchell stood frozen, Captain Chen's words echoing in her mind. Around her ship, 12 Xanthari vessels held position, their weapon systems charging with energy signatures that her sensors could barely measure. But Sarah's attention remained fixed on the man on her view screen, the captain of a ship that shouldn't exist, making claims that could reshape everything humanity understood about the galaxy. "You have 2 minutes to explain before the Xanthari start shooting," Sarah said, her voice steady despite the chaos of alerts flashing across her tactical displays. "Make them count, Captain Chen." Chen nodded, his expression growing serious. 83 years ago by your calendar, the Wanderer was pulled into what we thought was a wormhole. But it wasn't natural. It was a gateway, constructed by beings who called themselves the Architects. They existed millions of years before any current galactic species evolved. They built structures throughout this entire region of space, hidden in dimensions that normal sensors can't detect. On her science station, Sarah could see Dr. Reeves transmitting data from the boarding team. The readings were increasingly impossible. Energy signatures that violated thermodynamic laws, materials that existed in quantum superposition, technology that seemed to operate on principles physics hadn't even theorized yet. "The Council knows about the Architects," Chen continued, his voice taking on an urgent tone. "They've known for thousands of years. Every major Council species has encountered Architect technology at some point in their history, and every single one of them either failed to understand it or tried to weaponize it immediately. The Architect systems have safeguards. They judge species based on their intentions, their capacity for growth, their ability to cooperate rather than dominate." Sarah's tactical officer, Lieutenant Carter, spoke up from his station. "Commander, the Xanthari fleet is hailing us again. High Enforcer Zarn is demanding we cease communication with the Wanderer immediately or face consequences." Sarah held up a hand, silencing him. Her eyes never left Chen's face. "What happened to your crew, Captain?" Dr. Reeves says the biological readings from your ship are different. Changed. For the first time, Chen's expression showed something other than calm confidence. It showed wonder mixed with a hint of sadness. The architect facility tested us for 3 years. It created scenarios, moral challenges, situations where we had to choose between power and compassion, between survival and integrity. Many of our people wanted to turn back, to reject the technology because they were afraid of what it might do to us. But we stayed. We learned. He paused, then held up his hand. Before Sarah's eyes, Chen's skin began to shimmer. Patterns of light moved beneath the surface, flowing like circuits made of pure energy. Then his hand seemed to phase slightly, becoming translucent before solidifying again. The architect technology doesn't just enhance our tools, Commander. It offers enhancement to those who choose it. About 60% of our crew decided to integrate with the systems. We call it bonding. It allows direct interface with technology, manipulation of energy fields, even limited interaction with quantum states. Sarah felt her heart racing. This was beyond anything humanity had achieved, beyond anything the Council openly possessed. And the other 40%? Remained fully human, Chen said simply. We gave everyone a choice. The architect systems demanded that we prove we could respect individual autonomy, even when offered ultimate power. Those who bonded gained abilities. Those who didn't remained as they were, but with full access to the technology through traditional interfaces. We're still a community, still a crew. The technology enhanced us, but it didn't divide us. Another alert flashed on Sarah's screen. Lieutenant Park's voice was tense. Commander, Earth Command is responding. Admiral Rodriguez is ordering us to maintain position and protect the Wanderer until Earth Fleet arrives. ETA is 4 hours, but the Xanthari aren't going to wait that long. Sarah made a decision that would define her career and possibly humanity's future. Captain Chen, I'm bringing you aboard the Horizon. We need to present a unified front to the Xanthari, and you need to explain this face-to-face with the Council representatives. Chen shook his head slowly. That won't work, Commander. The moment I leave the Wanderer, the Xanthari will attempt to seize control of the ship. They've done this before with other species. They'll claim they're securing dangerous technology. But what they really want is to study it, to try one more time to make it work for them. Then what do you suggest? Sarah asked. Chen's expression became determined. I suggest we show them why the architects rejected them. I suggest we demonstrate that humanity succeeded where they failed. But I need your permission to do something that's going to make the Council very, very angry. Before Sarah could respond, the view screen split. High Enforcer. Zarn's face appeared, the Xanthari's crystalline features reflecting the bridge lights in sharp, aggressive patterns. The alien's voice was cold and absolute. Human Commander, your time has expired. The vessel you call the Wanderer is now impounded under Galactic Council Emergency Protocol 7. You will withdraw immediately, or we will disable your ship and take it by force. Sarah looked between Zarn and Chen, her mind racing through options. Every regulation, every protocol she'd been taught said to defer to Council authority. But everything her instincts screamed said that this moment was bigger than regulations. This was about whether humanity would remain under Council control or step forward into something new. High Enforcer Zarn, Sarah said, keeping her voice respectful but firm. The Wanderer is a human vessel carrying human citizens. Under the treaty that admitted Earth to the Galactic Council, we have sovereign jurisdiction over our own ships. I'm requesting that you allow our command structure to handle this situation. Zarn's crystalline body flashed red, a sign of Xanthari anger. Your treaty rights do not extend to possession of architect technology. Such technology is classified as existential threat level and supersedes all sovereignty claims. This is your final warning. Sarah turned to Chen. Do it. Whatever you're planning, do it now. Chen nodded once. Everyone on your bridge should hold on to something. This is going to be disorienting. The captain of the Wanderer closed his eyes, and suddenly every screen on the Horizon's bridge lit up with the same image. It was a recording, crystal clear despite being millions of years old. It showed beings of pure energy, the architects creating vast structures throughout space. But more importantly, it showed their message translated into every known language simultaneously. The voice that emerged seemed to come from everywhere at once. We are the architects. We rose from matter to energy, from physical form to consciousness itself. We leave this knowledge not as a gift, but as a test. Species who find our repositories will be judged on their capacity for growth, their respect for life, their ability to transcend the limitations of fear and greed. Technology without wisdom leads only to destruction. Wisdom without courage leads only to stagnation. We sought species capable of both. The recording showed species after species attempting the architect trials. The Xanthari appeared in the images from thousands of years ago. Sarah watched as they tried to weaponize every system, to dominate the technology through force. The architect systems rejected them violently, causing catastrophic failures that destroyed entire Xanthari research facilities. Other species appeared in the recordings. The Krolix, the Valnari, the Hicks. Each one had found architect technology. Each one had failed the tests in different ways. Some through violence, some through greed, some through an inability to cooperate even among themselves. Then the recording showed the Wanderer. Sarah watched as Chen's crew faced challenge after challenge. She saw them making impossible choices, sacrificing power for principle, choosing cooperation over dominance. She saw the moment when the architect systems accepted them, when the technology bonded with willing crew members and opened its full potential. The voice continued. The species you call human has passed our trials. They have demonstrated the qualities necessary for advancement. They are hereby granted full access to our accumulated knowledge and the right to share it as they see fit. Any attempt to prevent this transfer or to seize this technology by force will be met with system defense protocols. The recording ended, but the impact was immediate. Throughout the Xanthari fleet, alarm klaxons began blaring. Sarah's tactical display showed the architect technology aboard the Wanderer, activating defense systems that her sensors couldn't fully analyze. Energy fields that seemed to exist partially outside normal space formed around the ship. Weapons platforms that hadn't been visible before materialized from quantum space, targeting every Xanthari vessel simultaneously. High Enforcer Zarn's face on the view screen showed something Sarah had never seen in a Xanthari before. Fear. This is impossible. The architect systems reject all attempts at activation. They have been dormant for millennia. Chen's voice was calm but carried an edge of steel. They reject species who approach them with the wrong intentions, High Enforcer. Your people tried to take the technology by force 5,000 years ago. The systems remember. They judge based on actions, not words. And your actions right now are proving why you were rejected. Dr. Reeves's voice came through on Sarah's communicator. Breathless with excitement. Commander, I'm reading the data logs from the Wanderer. The architect repository they found contains complete technological databases covering energy generation, faster-than-light travel, matter manipulation, consciousness transfer, and hundreds of other fields. This is thousands of years beyond current Council technology. Tens of thousands of years. Sarah made her decision. She opened a channel to the entire Xanthari fleet. High Enforcer Zarn, I'm formally requesting that the Galactic Council recognize humanity's right to the architect technology as granted by the architects themselves. We're not asking for permission. We're informing you of a change in circumstances. Zarn's crystalline features hardened. This is an act of rebellion against Council authority. The consequences will be severe. The consequences, Chen interrupted, will be that humanity is no longer a junior species operating under your restrictions. We're offering to share what we've learned with any species willing to approach the knowledge with the right intentions. The architects wanted their legacy to spread, to help species advance. But advancement has to be earned, not taken. Another voice joined the communication channel. It was elderly and carried the weight of centuries. This is Elder Torin of the Valnari Council. I am transmitting from the Council chamber on Xanthari Prime. We have received the architect recording. After consultation with the full Council, we are prepared to negotiate new terms with humanity. Sarah saw Zarn's expression shift from anger to shock. The Valnari were even older than the Xanthari, one of the founding species of the Council. If they were willing to negotiate, it meant the power dynamic had fundamentally changed. Elder Torin continued. The Council has maintained restrictive protocols on younger species for valid historical reasons. Many species have destroyed themselves with advanced technology, but the architects designed their systems to prevent such outcomes. If humanity has genuinely passed the trials, then perhaps it is time for the Council to reconsider its approach to species development. Chen looked directly at Sarah through the view screen. Commander Mitchell, you're being given a choice that will affect billions of lives. Earth can accept a new treaty with the Council, one that grants humanity greater autonomy and access to advanced technology, or humanity can reject the Council entirely and face an uncertain future outside its protection. What will you choose? Sarah thought about everything she'd witnessed. The Wanderer's impossible technology. The architect recordings showing humanity succeeding where ancient species failed. The fear in the Xanthari's voices when they realized their power was no longer absolute. She thought about Earth, about the billions of humans who had lived under council restrictions for decades, always being told they weren't ready, weren't advanced enough, weren't worthy. I choose humanity's freedom, Sarah said firmly. We'll negotiate with the council, but as equals, not subjects. We'll share the architect knowledge with species who approach it correctly, but we won't surrender control of it, and we'll build our own path forward, with or without council approval. Chen smiled, and for the first time Sarah saw genuine hope in his expression. Then let me show you what that path looks like, Commander. The Wanderer suddenly blazed with light. Energy patterns that had seemed chaotic before resolved into beautiful, intricate designs. The ship began to change, transforming as Sarah watched. New structures emerged from quantum space, expanding the vessel into something that looked like a small city floating among the stars. Around it, smaller vessels materialized, ships being constructed in real time using technology that turned raw energy directly into matter. The architects left us the ability to build, Chen explained, to create, to explore, to grow without limitation. This is just the beginning. In 6 months, we can teach other humans to bond with the systems. In a year, we can construct entire fleets. In 10 years, humanity won't just be part of the galactic community. We'll be leaders in it, showing other species the path forward. Dr. Reeves spoke up from the boarding team, her voice filled with wonder. Commander, Captain Chen is showing us the construction techniques. It's not just technology, it's art. The architects understood that advancement isn't about power. It's about creation, about making beautiful, functional things that enhance life rather than dominate it. Sarah watched the Xanthari fleet beginning to withdraw, their weapons powering down as the reality of the situation became clear. She saw other ships arriving, human vessels from Earth fleet, but also ships from Valnari space, from independent systems that had grown tired of council control. Everyone wanted to see the impossible made real. Captain Chen, Sarah said quietly, I think you just changed the galaxy. Chen shook his head. We all changed it, Commander. Every human who refused to accept that we were somehow less than the ancient species. Every person who believed we could be more than what others told us we could be. The architects left their technology for species capable of transcending their limitations. Humanity just proved we're one of those species. Over the next hours, Sarah watched as history reshaped itself before her eyes. Earth negotiated a new treaty with the Council, one that granted humanity autonomy over its own technological development. The Wanderer opened its doors to scientists and engineers from multiple species, sharing the architect knowledge with anyone willing to learn its principles. And slowly, carefully, humanity began to step into a future no one had imagined possible just days before. 3 months later, Sarah stood on the observation deck of the newly constructed Earth Defense Station, watching construction drones building the first generation of human ships incorporating architect technology. Beside her, Captain Chen gazed out at the same scene, his eyes reflecting the lights of 100 ongoing projects. Do you ever wonder what the architects would think? Sarah asked. Seeing humanity take their technology and run with it like this? Chen smiled. I think they'd be pleased. They didn't leave their legacy behind to gather dust. They left it to, be used, to be built upon, to help species reach heights they couldn't achieve alone. Humanity isn't replacing the architects. We're continuing their work. And maybe someday, millions of years from now, we'll leave our own legacy for whatever species comes after us. Sarah nodded, feeling the weight and wonder of that possibility. Humanity had been lost, had spent 83 years mourning the Wanderer and its crew. But what seemed like tragedy had transformed into triumph. The impossible had become real, and the future, once limited and controlled, had opened into infinite possibility. In the space beyond the station, the first human architect hybrid vessel completed its construction. It was beautiful, elegant, powerful, a symbol of what humanity could achieve when given the chance to prove itself. As it powered up and began its maiden voyage into deep space, Sarah felt something she hadn't felt in years: genuine hope for the future. The galaxy would never be the same, and humanity, once dismissed as a young and limited species, had just announced to the cosmos that it was ready to take its place among the stars, not as subjects, not as juniors, but as inheritors of knowledge, older than recorded history and creators of a future yet to be written. The adventure was just beginning.